Good morning from Camp Massa, Taters. What was that for?
That's my I've only had one cup of coffee voice.
Oh yeah, don't worry, there's more coffee coming, or more tea. Today, sadly, is going to be the very last Taters Tuesday. Last full day of hiking.
Ever? Terminal Taters
just for
Tuesday.
the CDT. That's a really strong word.
Goodbye, Taters.
Oh. Oh. Yes. So I'm obviously going to miss all of the epic views and just that feeling of freedom walking along a ridgeline or through the forest. But I'm also just going to miss all the small little routines, the getting to wake up every morning,
pooping in a hole,
feeling like you've got the world to yourself. Well, not so much that, but being able to pee wherever you want.
Missing food. I pee almost everywhere I want in civilization. Oh, gee, thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna miss the getting spit in the eye.
Stop it, I'm talking. Anyway, I was saying I'm gonna really miss waking up with just, quiet to yourself, sunrise, sound of birds, and making instant coffee, cuddling with this guy. You can make
real coffee.
As much as he lets me through the layers.
If you would bathe more than once every 10 days, maybe we could, cuddle a little more versus having, handshakes, fist bumps from across the tent. At least the smoke has improved a bit from yesterday. They were okay with snowmobilers and ATVers.
It is hot and smoky this morning. My throat's actually burning already.
Your throat's wimpy. How did you ever survive NorCal? I'm trying to make it hot. Was just the good kind lawyers got a letter saying ring race equivalence. So we were able to find a smoke map since we got reception finally again, and it looks like this is just moose fire and the general smoke cloud over a lot of the United States. And we just got reception for the first time in the better part of a week.
So the last 3-4 days, pretty much the whole time since Ledor, has been this type of terrain, walking along the tops of these gently rolling grassy ridges. And it makes for a fairly relaxing, pleasant walking, and sometimes can be rather striking. However, Matt and I were talking the other day about how it also makes the days feel kind of samey. One grassy hill kind of blends into the next. It's not my favorite type of terrain. Given the choice, I'd rather be in terrain like we had on the northern part of the trail for the first couple weeks, where you were in more rugged mountains, steep, dramatic, rocky cliffs, more varied and lusher vegetation, rushing rivers, that sort of thing. And in case you're wondering, there are still pretty flowers and butterflies around. I don't know if Matt's gonna put them on the videos once I'm gone, so here you go.
At this point, we are on schedule for Lima. We have our hotel reserved. The box with our food has arrived. It is just a question of when tomorrow we get in here. If we manage another big long day, we may be able to make the 9 a.m. shuttle, because basically the shuttle that the motel gives, they'll come get you at 9 a.m. or 5 p.m. Beyond that, you're on your own. Obviously, we'd much rather go in at 9 a.m. because our 0 days, our town stops of any sort have been very, very busy on this trail. Jen was just reminiscing about how on the AT it felt like we had time to kind of like lie around and relax. And here, even the 0 days, it's been go, 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 trying to replace gear, stuff like that. But either way, we will get in there. We will be able to do laundry, get some food, and then sadly set off on our opposite ways on the 11th, at which point, unfortunately, we probably won't be back together until November sometime is our best guess.
I think my very favorite section of this trail out of what I've gotten to do was actually not even on the red line. It was the Spotted Bear alternate route section up in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, about our second week on trail. That section had outstanding scenery and kind of a mix of everything I love. So it never got dull. One moment you were wading through knee-deep streams. Next moment you were climbing up a pass, getting awesome expansive views of snowy mountain range crest. Then you were switchbacking up next to a waterfall. Then you were in a hanging plateau with like 20 kinds of flowers all around. And then there was several miles where we were right next to the Spotted Bear River in a really lush, green, beautiful area. It also felt super remote. Most of that whole section, we only saw one other person, one other southbound through hiker. So while Glacier National Park, where the trail starts, has maybe objectively more spectacular scenery with the glacial valleys and everything, I thought that Spotted Bear section had almost just as awesome scenery, and without all the crowds, the development, the roads, the camping restrictions, and so on. That Spotted Bear alternate section of trail was also where we had probably the most memorable event from this hike. We were camped on one of those hanging plateaus, really pretty, great views of down below and mountains to the side. And right after we got in our tent, we had the most intense thunderstorm I've ever been in. Loudest thunder I've ever heard, pouring rain, pretty good sized hail, winds hard enough we were supporting the tent because we were worried it was going to collapse, and tons of lightning. More butterflies, so many butterflies. So for those of you who are wondering how Matt can both hike so much and post so much on social media, it's because he's very good at multitasking. So right now we're walking down a steep ridge.
This is happening on episode 31.
With uneven ground. It's taking all my attention to not trip over my poles, but he is busy doing speech-to-text replies to various social medias.
Oh, that's easy. It's posting pictures that gets more difficult. And making sure I don't say something inappropriate because Siri mangles something because I'm mumbling going downhill in a windstorm. First time in days where I haven't been up ahead by like 30 minutes.
It does help me keep up with you, and I am continually impressed by your multitasking ability.
Yeah, just wait till I break my leg like the week after you leave. It's going to be like the Chinese are a threat. It's a tech thing. So many cows. I am really looking forward to the sun setting. That hike on the ridge yesterday around 9 o'clock was just awesome. So we were hoping to do lunch here because there was supposed to be less cows, less cow poop, less flies. Apparently does not equal no cows.
Oh, look who came out to have lunch with us.
It's smelly and I can't eat it.
It's so little.
And it poops everywhere. It's kind of like a baby.
Aww.
And its mother's probably going to come around the corner and then really get angry.
Another one of the little routines that I'm really going to miss is our ramen and Snickers lunch breaks.
Last ramen lunch, because YouTube probably thinks that I can't make ramen in addition to not being able to filter water or set up the tent. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to survive out here alone.
Similar to yesterday, I think we timed today pretty well. Ended up on the really exposed part later in the day. I'm still soaked in sweat, but the sun isn't quite as intense, and we got a little breeze. So as far as how I'm getting back home to Southern California, we booked my flight about 3 weeks ago. And at that point, we looked at the schedule and figured we'd be about to the town of West Yellowstone, which happens to have an airport, so it made sense to fly out of there. As always, though, you got to be flexible, and about a week ago we realized with the foot-related delays that we weren't going to quite make it to West Yellowstone in time for the flight. And in fact, we were only going to make it to the town right before that, which is the town of Lima. So we looked on Google Maps for any public transport between Lima and West Yellowstone, and thankfully there was something. Oftentimes in small towns and more remote areas like that, there's not anything, and that would have made things a little tricky. But thankfully, a company called Salt Lake Express has a bus system with pretty good coverage through Utah, Montana, and Idaho. Downside is it's an all-day bus ride. So it'll take me about a day to bus from Lima to West Yellowstone, stay in a campground in West Yellowstone that night, hang around there in the morning, and then my flight will leave from there Friday afternoon. That'll get me home with a weekend to settle in and get organized, stop crying from my hike being over, and get ready to go back to school next week. The last 10 miles or so today is all steep up and down on this exposed ridgeline. When we were in Ledor, a northbander who had just been through this part told us it's really steep, just like the AT. And I was picturing big, steep, rocky sections with kind of some third-class moves and stuff. This isn't that, but it's also not messing around with side hilling or switchbacks. Sticking right on top of the ridge the whole way.
And if you look down over there, we got another cattle truck. This is going to be the water source where tonight we'll fill up and then push further up this ridge before we can make it. It is 7:30. We are filled up it with water. I am choking on a Snickers, and we are going to go as far as we can.
I think I just missed the sun going down, but we still got the pretty silhouette. Looks like we're going to be hiking at least a little bit after dark tonight. We want to set up so that we're able to get into Lima around midday tomorrow and check out that almost full moon. Couldn't ask for a better night for it. We ended up hiking just a little bit past dark. Got to camp around 9:30, which was just probably 15 minutes or so since it really got dark, and we still have the moonlight. There were no actual nice camp spots along this ridge, so we found something that's flat enough, but it is going to be a little lumpy tonight. But at least it is calm, peaceful. We've got the ridge all to ourselves tonight, and we're set up pretty well for going into town tomorrow. We got about 11 miles, mostly downhill, to get into Lima. Home sweet home for the night.